On a seemingly ordinary Monday night in October of 2017, a New Orleans community was shattered by a senseless act of violence. This is Hold My Sweet Tea. Hey, everybody, I'm Holly.
And I'm Pearl. And I thought his name was Warren.
My name isn't frickin' Warren. Oh, that introduction was great, right?
Right.
So we are talking about the iconic cult classic Empire Records because
tomorrow is Rex Manning Day.
Rex Manning Day. Say no more.
No more.
Right? If you guys know, you know. It was like I said, iconic.
Yeah, I mean, we brought it up in a past episode when we were talking about the 80s movies, and we kind of
and working at Blockbuster Music.
Yeah. So, yeah. It was, I think if they were closing down, I'd be like, yeah, bitch, go. Yeah. I mean, they did close down.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I wasn't about to try to save the record store.
We didn't say damn the man, save the empire.
No, it was not damn the man, save the Blockbuster.
Exactly.
No. Because it ended up not being as cool as we thought it was.
Not at all.
You know, TV.
But if you haven't seen Empire Records, like we had a young employee one year, and we literally had to force him to go watch Empire Records because it is that good. And he watched it, and he's like, oh my God.
I love that.
I love that movie.
Yes.
So, you know, if you haven't watched it, you should definitely go watch it, and watch it on April 8th, because that is the official Rex Manning Day. And you're like, who the hell is Rex Manning? You will see.
Yeah.
He's a douchebaggery.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. But the rest, I mean, the movie's just great. It really is.
Absolutely. And it has my Zodiac twin in it, Renee Zellweger.
It do. Sugar
high. Yep. Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Indeed. Yeah. Shenado rebellion.
That's right. Which is why, like, you know, in The Craft, like, Rachel, what's her name? I can't remember her last name, but she had to wear a wig in that movie because she shaved her head in Empire Records. So that's why her hair looked weird through the whole movie, because it was a wig. Yep.
Yeah, because, you know, the things actors do for their roles.
Yeah, so the girl who played Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah!
Yep. Sarah.
And then Pearl and I also, speaking of movies, found out that Romy and Michelle's high school reunion is making a part 2, and I am there for it. I cannot wait.
Every time we bring up Romy and Michelle, I remember your niece going to Walmart with us and having them page us.
Yeah, Romy and Michelle.
I was like, oh my God, Wendy.
Right. But Pearl and I have already decided when it comes out, you know, in the theater, we're going to dress up as businesswomen.
And bring Post-its.
Because we have to. And if you haven't seen that one, where have you been living? Under a rock.
A big old rock.
So go watch that one too.
Crawl out from your cave.
Exactly.
And watch all the silly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we mustn't dwell. No, not today. We can't. Not on Rex Manning Day.
Absolutely not. So I guess we're
what
just...
you got?
Right. So we're just going to jump right in this today. So today, I'm taking it back home. We're bringing it back. We're going to head down to Algiers, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we know where Algiers is. It is a community nestled on the West Bank, which, you know, according to the West Bank people, is the best bank of the Mississippi River.
Right.
It's directly across from like the French Quarter, the CBD, like the whole area down there. So if you're standing on the riverfront, you can see Algiers Point straight across. It's a historic neighborhood, and it's the only part of the city of New Orleans located on the West Bank. So, little cool piece of history. I'm going to go into a little history of this because the information about my case, it was a little short. So I just, want to get y'all a feel of where
it happened,
how Algiers came about. So Algiers was established in 1719 as a plantation, not a neighborhood, which it is now. It was first used as a location for the city's powder magazine and then as a holding area for the newly arrived enslaved Africans. Decades later, it became a port of call for the displaced Cajuns, which came down from Canada. So those were like the French Canadians, and then they were like, oh, we don't like you. And then they all like ended up down in the New Orleans, Louisiana South area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the Cajun culture comes in.
Speaking of Cajuns and culture, I just want to reiterate to the world that if you want to get some really cutesy tattoos, it's Justin Miette.
Yes, I pronounced it wrong on the last episode, but names down here are crazy. You just don't know. You can look at it and go, do I pronounce it this way or do I pronounce it that way?
And literally he said that he's coon-ass to the core. So
there you go.
There you go.
And that's another culture that comes in, coon-ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is at Monster Inc.
Yeah.
I want to say Monsters Incorporated.
It's not a Disney movie, but it is next to daycare.
Right, it is next to a daycare.
If you got some kids, you need to have watched while you get your tattoo. Very convenient spot.
Take Boo over there, leave Mike Wazowski, and go get you a tattoo. But yeah, he did an awesome job, and my tattoo is healing nicely.
Mine too.
I had one little rough spot, and I've been putting my stuff on there, and it's healing nicely. So
yeah,
lovely.
They look great.
So this region of the city was a French colonial encampment originally managed by Le Page du Prats, on which cabins housed the enslaved. So they would bring, these people here, they enslaved them and put them in these little kind of shacks here and there. According to geographer Richard Campanella, PhD, this area was used as a warehouse, workshop, lumber mill, and a farm in service of the principal colony across the river, which was, the city of New Orleans. So this is where all the other stuff went on, and then they just brought it over. Its primary use, however, was a depository for captive Africans recently arrived from Senegambia, I think I said that right, and then as well as the Congo regions. Before it was known as the Company Plantation. The site in the 1720s had more than 30 cabins used for the temporary sheltering of slaves until they were sold to the colonists or for their permanent housing, if they were owned by the company itself. As were 154 people at one point, making present-day Algiers Point. So that's kind of where they were all at because it was adjacent to the greater New Orleans area right there. So it was easier to get them back across the river. Algiers was once an independent town, but it was annexed by the city of New Orleans on March 14th, 1870. It is known as the 15th Ward and a place where generations of families have put down roots. So New Orleans has different wards throughout the city. So this is the 15th Ward.
Which is so weird to say.
Yeah, I know. It's set up in wards. It's crazy. Like, you would think of a ward like a mental hospital. Which, most New Orleans is a mental hospital.
I mean, that's what I was about to say. I was like, hold
on. A little crazy. But it's fun crazy.
Yeah, it's fun crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of it's really bad crazy.
Yeah, but I think you get that everywhere. But
I think it just sticks out there a lot because, it's such a big touristy area. Right. And
New Orleans people have their own way about things. And
yeah.
That's why people come down and love the city. You either come down to drink and party and get into some debauchery and have some fun. You come down for like how frozen in time everything is and the beautiful architecture. And that's what I fell in love with. Like, the first time I went down there, I was just like amazed at everything. And I'm like, ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. Oh my gosh, look at this, But,
the cemeteries.
And the cemeteries.
They're
the cities
really
of the dead
pretty.
are amazing. But, and then there is the occasional like drinking and debauchery. When you go down, you have to.
Crime.
And crime. Yeah. So
crime is everywhere.
Absolutely.
Just a little more in some places than others.
This is like these families came here, and this is where just generation after generation grew up, and they put down their roots, and they made Algiers their home. So this is where we get into Carol's case, and today we are doing Carol Lombard Ross. This is still to this day an unsolved case, and I'm sure her family would appreciate any tips or information of who did this horrific thing to her. So on October 30th of 2017, around 7:20 p.m., the sun was already setting. It was a pretty quiet residential area along LaBeouf Street when, like, just suddenly out of nowhere, the air was, like, ripped apart by the sound of gunfire. And not just a few shots, mind you. Like, it was just, like, a barrage of, like, 16, 20, like, dozens of rounds.
Like raining bullets.
Like raining bullets.
I got you.
And you and I have heard that before. And, yeah. Because you're like, what is that noise? And then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's that noise.
That noise. So, when the echoes of these shots like faded, like a beloved mother of the community lay dying. And this was Carol Lombard Ross. She was 55 years old. She was a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a daughter. But to her neighbors, she was much more. She was the neighborhood mom, which, just makes it so sad because we've all known like that neighborhood mom, like that would just bend over backwards, go out of her way. She looked out for like the kids in the neighborhood. She would go out and just like pick up trash because people would drop stuff all over the place and keep things cleaned up. She was a friend to her neighborhood that people knew. They knew they could go to her. She also would like encourage the kids to do well in school. Like, it's really important for you to stay in school. She would, give them these little talks, and she was just a super sweet lady.
It reminds me of the lady in our neighborhood when I was young. Like, after we moved to Louisiana, there was a older lady. She used to like always make the little Dixie cup ice cream. The ice things with the, like she would use like Hawaiian punch or something and
put
freeze
little popsicle sticks in it. Yeah.
And they would just do it in the little Dixie cups, and she'd give those out to the kids in the neighborhood all the time.
Yeah. See, that's so sweet. And this is the person that Carol was. She was just a really giving, caring person. And this is why this came as a shock to everybody that somebody would gun her down in front of her home.
Crazy.
So it was reported by Troy Carter that Carol was that stereotypical kind of neighborhood mom who looked out for young people, tried to keep them on the straight and narrow. Now, this is Louisiana Senator Troy Carter. He was a lifelong friend of the Ross Lombard family. Carol's family, y'all, they were a pillar of Algiers. Public servants, activists, people deeply invested in their community. Her cousin, Rudy Lombard, a civil rights legend. He organized one of the first anti-segregation lunch counter sit-ins at McCroy's Five and Dime on Canal Street in New Orleans. Her brother, Darren Lombard, he worked his way from deputy clerk to second city court clerk Then he was elected as Orleans Parish criminal court clerk. Darren gained a reputation for his extensive work in the community. He also participated in philanthropy, worked with the Silverback Society, 4Kids Foundation, and he was also part of the Mardi Gras crew Legion of Mars, in addition to his many other roles in public service. So, this family has deep roots in the New Orleans area.
They're out there doing things.
And her sister-in-law, Juana, it's Juana. I guess we would say it Juana, Lombard, the commissioner of Louisiana Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control, and then she was elected New Orleans Magistrate. So, just in everything. So everybody knew the Lombard Ross family. They have been around for generations.
Lots of public service.
But on that Monday night, family ties, community service, none of that mattered. So it was said that a white Ford F-150 pickup truck was the one that pulled up to the 300 block of LaBeouf Street, and someone inside opened fire. Carol, who was standing outside of her home, was struck multiple times. Her neighbors, Linda and Marva, rushed out, finding Carol lying face down. Marva said that her breathing was shallow and she was moaning. Carol was then rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. She unfortunately succumbed to her injuries and passed away. The question that has echoed through Algiers, through the Ross Lombard family, through Troy Carter's voice was simply, why Carol?
Yeah. You would expect, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but you would expect that to happen to somebody else, like her other family members that are part of the court system or part of whatever.
Right, like if they were mad at something that one of them did. But why Carol? Why target a woman who has dedicated her life to her community?
Yeah.
You know,
odd. She didn't have any position of power.
No.
I guess is the best way to put that. So it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. So NOPD, they speculated she might have been caught in the crossfire of a gun battle, but was it really random or was there something more? The NOPD under the superintendent, Michael Harrison, appealed to the public for information. They found bullet holes in several cars on the street. It was a stark testimony to the ferocity of the attack. I mean, it wasn't like pow pow. It was just a barrage of bullets and shots.
Was the truck moving while it was shooting? Or
it didn't say it was moving, but I would think so if it was up the block. Going
because when you
up,
say several cars, and I'm thinking, well, were they driving while they were doing
or was he stopping and it was just like a sweep, like he was just boom, 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 boom,
just
across,
stuck his arm out and was waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really give any details on how. It just, said it was the truck and stuff that had pulled up. So I would think it stopped and then the gunman just opened fire and sprayed.
Yeah.
But the leads on the case were scarce. So as the days turned into weeks, questions lingered unanswered. Carol's funeral at All Saints Catholic Church was a testament to the impact she had on the community. This community was reeling from the loss of a pillar, a community mom. A $5,000 reward was offered by Crime Stoppers, but still, there's silence. To this day, the murder of Carol Lombard Ross remains unsolved. It's just a senseless act of violence that robbed the Algiers area of,
and her family.
And her family.
Family, yeah.
She was just a bright light in everybody's life. So this is, a reminder of the fragility of life. Even the most close-knit communities, tragedy happens.
Yeah, it's so weird to think, though. It's hard to believe it would be random. Why would you pick that street? Why would you pick that house? Were you just driving around and you went, oh, look, there's somebody outside?
Yeah. And let me just, stop and
this is a good
random,
spot.
lady and stuff.
wrong place, wrong time for her.
She was 55. She was just getting her second wind and everything. Like, I'm getting up that area too, and like I couldn't imagine. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Like this woman who has done everything for her community, and to think
there's not really a ton, like you said, not a ton of information on this. Also crazy.
Right. Also goes back to what you were talking about in the last episode. Like, it's so hard to find anything. And I went through newspaper article after newspaper article, and it was the same thing over and over and over that's reported on this. And it's like, can we, It's
insane to me, like I said before, that any person of color, you don't find anything. Like, it doesn't matter if they're African American, Indigenous, Indians, Asians, Latinos.
It's really hard.
You literally can't find stuff at all. Right. Like, it is the biggest challenge.
But getting it out here on the podcast, and saying stuff about it, maybe somebody's listening and somebody knew something or knew somebody and, can talk. So, we'll do more of these because...
And I understand, like, holding it, what information you do have, because it very well could, like in this instance, just be that there really isn't a lot for the police to go on. So what little tiny bit they've got, they're keeping it to themselves because it's all they got. And so I get that. I just still feel like there needs to be more, like, do a little better. These things need to be reported on a little better.
Yes.
Interview these families, find out everything you can.
Yeah.
Even if all you're putting out there is more about that person and why we should be completely just up in arms about this continuing to happen in these communities.
Yeah, and that's why, like, it would say things about her family, just like, oh, this one, advocated for this one. I went in and looked those people up so I could tell you what they did and how their impact on this community has...
And how, everyone should be outraged that there isn't more.
Right. There isn't more.
There isn't more being done. There isn't more being reported.
Right. So this is a way for us to, like, help advocate for people who don't have a lot of information. So bringing this to light. But Troy Carter, he said that, you hate to use the adage that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Which is what I said.
Right.
Because she's in her yard, for crying out loud.
But, like, unfortunately, crime in New Orleans has found its way into all the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
So
it wasn't her being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
She was in her
criminal being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. And, like, this, this story hits close to home. It reminds us that violence can touch anyone, anywhere. And it leaves us asking, just like Troy Carter said, why Carol? Why anyone? Why would you pull up and just randomly shoot somebody? I don't get it. But if you have any information about the murder of Carol Lombard Ross, please reach out to Crime Stoppers in the greater New Orleans area. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to tell your name. So it's not like somebody's going to get you for saying something. But every little bit helps. And that number is 1-877-903-STOP or 504-822-1111. And there's still,
pick up
a $5,000 reward if you know anything.
Yeah. I mean, you give them some information that leads to whoever did this, and easy money.
Absolutely. But also you're helping her family. And
the whole community, honestly. Because who's to say this person didn't go randomly shoot up some other neighborhood?
Right.
I mean, they got away with one.
Right. I mean, and I'm sure there's lots of white Ford F-150s around that time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
How many, I'm sure there's cameras on that bridge that go across to Algiers. So maybe you could narrow it down a little bit, get some license plate numbers. But this was also in 2017. So
who knows what they had then or didn't have then.
They did, but technology evolves every day. So
yeah, I remember like our whole situation. We had camera footage of that sign getting hit. Yeah. But it was still kind of hard to see, like, to make out details. Like, you knew it was, like, that was also a Ford F-150.
So, but y'all narrowed it down and found out who it was. So,
But it was, like, luckily, it had some distinguishing features that made it different from everything else. Like, if this was just some random white Ford work truck, they all look the same.
Right.
They're, like, stock and they look the same.
Right.
I mean, the one in our camera footage for that situation was, like, had bumpers put on it that are aftermarket and different rims and stuff like that.
This was y'all's business, and somebody, plowed down their business sign in the front of their business. So I said business a lot.
Business.
I'm so aware when somebody says
specific because once we worked out everything with this person, we promised not
settled out of court.
Yeah. And we promised to kind of keep it between us, but I'm not saying any names.
Right.
So here we are. But it occurred and cameras helped us.
Yeah. So
but in this case, it could help, but it also could not help if it's, like I said, just a plain Jane
F-150. It
F-150.
just was like a white Ford F-150, not even like a super cab, not even that
like
just a
nothing.
Stock Ford F-150.
Crazy. Yeah. So there's tons of those.
So, if anybody knows anything, anybody has heard any little whispers or words or anything, call Crime Stoppers.
Yes. Tell somebody.
Get your cash reward. But that was my case for the day. So
it always makes me feel like, ugh, because it's like all the unsolved stuff. And it's cool and fun to do solved whatever, but it doesn't do what putting these out there.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have her picture up and everything, because when I was scrolling through cases, sometimes a picture will catch me. And her picture definitely caught me, and I was like, ugh, right to the heart, because you can tell just by looking at her, she is the neighborhood mom.
Yeah. Just got that sweetest person face.
Yes, absolutely. So I was like, ugh, I started reading and I started going more into it, and I was like, oh, yes, I'm doing this for Carol.
Yeah,
for sure.
Even if it's short, at least it's done.
Exactly. We got the word out there.
I want to take a moment to just say the words Chicken Voldemort, because he asked me, are y'all going to keep talking about me in every episode? So, yeah, what you going to do about it?
Didn't he give you permission to say his real name?
He did. And maybe one day I'll reveal it.
Right.
Just going to have to keep listening if you want to know what my brother's name is.
That's right. And he's got all of his work friends listening to us. So
yeah, he does.
We're so appreciative of y'all.
And he came in and rescued me and my daughter in the middle of the night when her truck broke down. Yep. So, props to him. Thank you.
Thanks, Chicken Voldemort.
Yeah. He's good for something. I said, not all heroes wear capes. And he's like, he tells his wife about it. It's like, bro said. But I was like, be proud of yourself, because I'm glad he showed up, because we would have been there forever if not.
Yep. Stranded.
So, we hope you enjoyed this episode. I know we didn't act like straight fools very long, but we hope you guys have a good Rex Manning Day tomorrow.
Yes.
Run around telling everybody that so they can look at you crazy, because half of them probably won't know either.
Right.
But we post it on our Facebook, so we'll make sure it's
right. It's on streaming channels, I'm sure, because it is Rex Manning Day. So
yeah, they usually do start
go watch it.
They usually do start playing it when it gets closer to the day.
Yep.
So you can find it somewhere. But our theme music is created by Patty Salzetta. You can find us on all the socials. If you have a case, a ghost story, some Southern folklore, you just want to say, hey, what up? Send us an email.
Somebody please email us or message us.
at holdmysweetie.com. We pay for that.
Right.
So it's like not getting emails in our box that we pay for because it's a business email. Like, send us an email.
Just if it's to say, I sent you an email.
Yeah. Send me the word test.
Right.
Is this thing on? It's just crazy. But yeah, again, find us on all social media. Steeped at holdmysweetie.com. Use it.
Use it. Yeah, y'all, use it, live it, love it, whatever. That was a quote from Jawbreaker. What did she say? Live it, love it. Oh,
I get that song stuck in my head instead, and I'm like, you're asking the wrong girl because I can't get past the music.
Right. That was another cult classic also. So you should go watch Jawbreaker. But you guys stay safe out there, and Hold My Sweet Tea is a Drunken Bee production.
Bzz.
And just because we're dipping doesn't mean y'all can't keep sipping.
Bye.